All right. So thank you guys again for attending. As I said, my name is George Martinez, and today we are continuing our Junior Jumpstart series. And today is all focused about starting your college list. So knowing, there's a lot of different schools, some big, some small, some just down the street from you, and some are 2,000 miles away. And there is a lot of different choices out there. So today we're going to help you figure out how to narrow your list and narrow your search and help find schools that could help suit you for your success in the future. All right, so what's on the agenda for today? Basically, what we're going to talk about are the 5 P's of prioritizing a college, which the 5 P's are person, people, which sound like the same thing, but don't worry, I'll cover them both in detail. Program, place, and price. And then we're also going to talk about just college visit information and getting in touch with your admissions team, because obviously we want to help you and make this as easy as possible and as smooth of a transition from high school to college and university for you. So I'll give you some advice on how to best get in contact with your admissions team and what questions to ask and things of the sort. And once we're finished with all that, we're going to open this up for a Q&A. So here we go. Before we start, I just kind of want to open up with a quote here that says, "College is a match to be made, not a prize to be won," by Frank Sachs, who actually works in college counseling in Minneapolis. And this means a lot specifically to me because a lot of people tell me, throw in the chat if you agree, but there seems to be a lot of pressure when it comes to applying to schools and making sure, oh, I have the top ACT score, I'm going to be going to Harvard and I'm going to do this and I'm going to be successful. And it feels almost like a comparison game where it doesn't matter about the education that you're getting, but more the prestige of the school. And I want to let you know that as difficult as it is, try to find a school that's best for you. It isn't about, the clout or what school name is on your diploma. It's making sure that you have a good educational experience, whether you go to community college and then a 4-year, if you decide to go to a 4-year right away, if you go to trade school, like how we talked about last month, just pretty much know that we want you to have your college to be focused on your academics and making you happy, not just about, being able to brag and say, I went to Yale and that means that I'm a really good student and I'm going to be successful. There's more measures of success than just the name of the school you go to. So please keep this in mind when the application season starts up, because there might be a school that you've never heard of. They may not be the most popular or famous school in the world, but they may have one of the best programs for specifically your major. So keep open-minded and make sure that pretty much just keep open-minded and apply to as many schools, whether they be prestigious or not, because at the end of the day, your degree is still a degree and that can get you on the right path to success. All right. Well, so now we're going to start our 5 P's. And the first P is the person. And by person, we mean you. So, let me accidentally press that. So we mean you. And basically by that, I mean, how do you learn? And what are things about you that you really like about yourself that you want to present to a school? So this is how you can tell your admission staff things like what classes you've taken, your high school GPA, your test scores, rankings on other standardized tests. This is pretty much based off your GPA and things like that can help you find a school that fits your needs. Because as I was saying, schools like Harvard, Yale, the Ivy Leagues, they have certain requirements that they only take students of the top of the top. And some schools are way more flexible. Some say, we don't care as long as you're doing good. And by good, they just mean that you're passing and you're learning and you have the drive to want to better yourself and make yourself the best, most educated version of yourself possible. So know that while you're going through your search. Another thing to keep in mind is is personality, because some schools kind of have their own like vibe to them, as just going along with the Ivy League example. There's always the cliches of the, preppy schools, the schools where, it might be a little more cutthroat and more focused on academics and success. And then there's other schools where sometimes it's more about the fun and the aspects of like extracurriculars, getting to meet people, getting to network. So just pretty much think about a school and that what would you be comfortable with? Would you want a school where you're very focused on academics? Would you want a school that's more focused on involvement? Would you want a school that's, you know, I'm not really trying to get involved or do that. I just want to make a group of friends and I want us to be kind of like the friends gang, the six of us, and we're just making memories together. So keep that in mind when you're looking at your college lists. And last themes here are activities. So if, especially for our athletes here and students that are really interested in specific clubs, look into the school to see if they do have a club or an athletic team. So for example, a school like Elmhurst, we're a D3 school. So we take certain athletics, but we don't compete at the D1 or the D2 level. If that's something that you're really looking for, then maybe Elmhurst, for example, wouldn't be the school for you. So these are things to keep in mind. Same applies with extracurriculars, especially if you're looking for something like Greek life. Not every school has sororities and fraternities, or esports, which is something that I did. It's a very niche topic. So just figuring out what kind of things the club, your school has that interest specifically you. And then on the academic side, look to see if the school does any special accommodations, especially if you need it for your academics, or if you really just, you know, pretty much making sure that they can make this as convenient and conducive to a learning experience for you as possible. And also, if you guys have any questions at all throughout this presentation, feel free to throw them in the chat, Michelle, or I can be able to answer any of them for you. All right, but moving on. So now the second P is people. And the difference between person and people is that people is more about who you surround yourself around. As I was saying that you're looking for things like involvement and activities, now people is pretty much who you find yourself around. Is the school going to be competitive or cooperative in its environment? Are you looking for a school that has a religious background? Because some schools are very strong with their faith. Are you looking for a very diverse school where you can find people of all different walks of life? Or are you looking for people who are a little more like you, who have had similar experiences? Are you looking for Greek life? Are you looking for people in a certain social economic status similar to you? Are you looking for cultural diversity? Pretty much every single school has their own kind of signature personality. So keep that in mind when you're looking through schools. But also you want to keep in mind how many hours you have in a week. There's only 168 hours in a week, and these numbers that I listed here are just examples. But for example, as on average, you'll spend about 14 to 16 hours a week doing classes. So those are your Monday, Wednesday, Friday for an hour, things like that. You'll spend about 15 to 20 hours studying and doing homework, because in college, a lot of your stuff that you do is outside of the classroom, when your classroom time is more focused on lecture and discussion. And then if you are going to be getting the 8 hours of sleep a night, you'll be spending 56 hours of your week sleeping, which is insane for me to think about. But that leaves only 78 hours in your week remaining if you're going to allot time for class, sleeping, and studying. So find a place where you can use those 78 hours to your advantage, whether it be being near a city, being able to go out and do things with friends, spending time for your own hobbies and passions. Pretty much just know what kind of time allotment you're getting yourself into with the school that you're going to. All right. So now moving outside of pretty much who you surround yourself around and what you yourself are looking for, obviously we go to college for our academics, right? We want to learn, we want to get our degree, we want to go and get our jobs. But the way to do it is you need to make sure that you have the program that you're looking for. So make sure that when you're applying to a school, they have the major or the professional program that you're looking for. For example, a school like Northwestern University is very known for its schools of journalism, its schools of medicine, its school of theater. A lot of people actually wouldn't know that about Northwestern, but know what kind of programs your school offers and make sure that they benefit your strengths, so that way you're finding classes that you like. So, and if you are still undecided, that's completely fine, but have a couple ideas in mind and things that you might be interested in. Like, for example, you might be interested in writing, but you don't know if you want to go into English, if you want to go into journalism, if you want to go into film. Having a school that has several options you can choose from just by knowing what you're interested in can make the school more appealing to you. And along with that, let's see, sorry, my screen, here we go. Yeah, and also other opportunities that the schools can offer too. Things like if you want to learn a foreign language, or if the school has a big study abroad program and you really want to be able to get out of your own country or out of your school, have the opportunity to see the world while in college, because some schools actually integrate a study abroad program into their curriculum, and some leave it as an option, and some schools don't offer study abroad at all. So keep that in mind when you're looking at schools too, because honestly, from my experience, Elmhurst offers study abroad, and I didn't take advantage of it. I kind of wish I did. Being able to get out, be able to see the world for a semester, a week, a year, if you really want to. But yeah, another thing to keep in mind going into the future. Here we go. The fourth P is place. So obviously, when you're looking at schools, as we talked about last time, you need to know, do you want to go to a technical college? Do you want to go to a 2-year? Do you want to go to a 4-year? Because each school has its own different goals and its own different things you're trying to achieve. So with a 2-year school, you're trying to get an associate's degree and just get general studies. At a 4-year school, you're trying to get your bachelor's degree. At a technical college, you're trying to get a certification to be able to go into the workforce faster, into a trade. Or if you're looking for schools that have affiliated master's or doctoral programs, so you know what your next plan would be after your undergrad. So pretty much each school has different majors and things that they're known for. Make sure that you're choosing a school that would benefit what credentials you need. But another thing is, do you know, knowing how far away from home you want to go? Because some students really prefer the, I want to live at home, I want to commute, I want to be able to stay nearby with my friends and family that I know. And some of you guys are like, oh man, only one more year of high school, and then I can go halfway across the country and visit family on the week, like on vacations and for holidays, and I just want to go and live my own life. So make sure that when you're applying to the school, you know where it's at, because you never know. It'd be very unfortunate if you look and you apply to a school and you see that it's in state, but you realize, oh, it's in Illinois, but we're in the Chicagoland area, and this is all the way down by Missouri, which is a 4-hour drive. So just keep that in mind when you're looking. And then also the community nearby. So what things are there to do near the school? What resources are there? Are there internship opportunities? Are there employers right by the school? Is there part-time jobs you can do? Is there fun things to do? Like, is there a train nearby? Is there a movie theater? Are there restaurants? Are there things that the school or the town nearby are known for? The size of the school too, because each school, whether you go to a small school, a large school, or a medium school, they each have their own different just kind of culture and environment that you would expect. Out of a small school, you'll feel a little more included in the community, since it's pretty much everyone kind of gets to know each other over time. While at large schools, especially state schools like University of Illinois, University of Wisconsin-Madison, University of Michigan, those are 30,000, 40,000 person schools where you can just disappear into the sea of people and kind of just be one with the anonymity. So know if you're looking for a big amount of people so that every day is a new adventure, or are you looking for a group of people that you can kind of stick with you and work with them every day and kind of build those stronger, smaller connections? And then also the selectivity of the school as well. We've already touched on it, but also just make sure that each school does have its own expectations and its own environment when it comes to the competitiveness or the laid backness of the school. You can look into these things by doing a Google search, checking the school's website, because admission requirements are listed. And if the admission requirements are pretty strict, you can tell the school is going to be a little more competitive. Or you can check databases like Naviance. Naviance is a really good way to get in touch with high school students with their colleges of their interest. It usually sends you automated emails too to get you in touch with an admissions counselor. So if you look into a school on Naviance, don't be surprised if an admissions counselor will reach out to you and try to get to build a connection with you and be able to answer any questions you have moving forward. And finally, in my opinion, sometimes most important is the price of the school, because when it comes to price, that can be a make or break sometimes. So you want to make sure that the school's tuition is in your budget And if it's not in your budget, knowing other opportunities for financial aid, whether it be through scholarships, because a lot of schools offer scholarships with their admission decisions as well. So they'll give you a little bit of help in that sense. But knowing for the additional gaps in it, doing the FAFSA application, seeing are you eligible for federal grants, for student loans, and then with the rest of it, if when you see your remaining balance, is it something that you can handle on your own as a family, or is it you have to do out of pocket, or will you have to do a student loan? So like a private student loan outside of federal ones. So these are some big questions that usually come up towards the end of your college search. But honestly, this is something you want to be thinking about from the beginning. And that's why what's really important is the FAFSA application opens October 1st. And the FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. On October 1st, I recommend make an account with FAFSA.gov. You and your parents and family sit together, fill out that application together. It is a bit tedious. It requires a lot of paperwork and a lot of numbers and taxes and a lot of big complicated things. But once you fill out that FAFSA, you'll be able to send it to any school that you're interested in. And if you apply to those schools, if you've been accepted and they've processed your FAFSA application, they can let you know very fast how much money they're going to offer you in assistance to make sure that you have to pay as little of the tuition as possible. So that way you can focus more on the things we've talked about before, the fun of the school and your academics and getting to build all these memories, because you know it can be pretty stressful thinking about the money all the time. So please keep price in mind while you're looking at school too. And just as a little bit side note for a couple things that might come up when you do the FAFSA application, there's a couple acronyms or terms that might be a little confusing for you. So I just want to explain them right now. If you ever see the acronym EFC, that means estimated family contribution. And that is a number that is calculated once they look at your FAFSA application and all the data and numbers that you guys have input as a family. And they calculate how much they think that you guys can contribute to the college education. COA is cost of attendance, or basically how much it costs for you to attend school. Financial aid is anything that is a financial amount that is given to you to help you out pay for the tuition upfront. So those can be scholarships or grants, which are money that you don't have to pay back. That's just kind of like a gift to you for saying, hey, we saw you applied, we saw that you're accepted, here's some money to help you out with your school. Some money might be a work study, which is actually a part-time job that the school can offer you. So if you wanted to work, for example, as a student in an office of admission or office of financial aid, or, you know, sit the front desk at the student lounge, something like that, there's different part-time jobs that you can work for to gain some extra money while you work on campus. And then also loans, student loans, private loans, things like that are also considered financial aid. And then finally, there's just basically the gap, and gap is the amount of money that you will have to pay yourself, which is basically the cost of attendance subtracted by the estimated family contribution is the gap amount of money that you'd have to contribute, usually with financial aid.
Hey, George.
Mm-hmm.
We have some good questions here in the chat, and I figure we could answer them together. One of them is asking about full rides. And I have to say that for full rides, we do not offer those, but we do offer them through scholarship competitions. So one of them I can talk about is the American Dream. So that's for first generation students, and you'd be able to apply after you get admitted to Amherst. And American Dream is basically you submitting a video of, is it video or essay, George?
It's a video submission.
Right, okay. About what it's like, what the American Dream is for you, and just personal statement about yourself through a video. It's no longer than 3 minutes. And then you will get invited to campus and you can bring your family if your video is liked by the directors that do judge it. And based off of that, you will be in a competition where the first place winner can get a full ride scholarship. That's the only way you can receive a full ride scholarship. And then George, you want to talk about the NEVER service?
Yeah.
One?
Yeah, so we have, as Michelle said, we offer 2 full ride competitions every year for students. The second full ride one is called the NEVER Service to Society competition. And that competition is focused on, it's the exact same format as Michelle said. It's a video submission followed by a competition. And for the competition for NEVER, instead of talking about the American dream and what that means to you, it would be a video submission talking about service to society, volunteer hours, pretty much just giving back to your community and what that means to you as a student. And the best part is that if you do decide to apply to Elmhurst and you do compete in these scholarships, even if you don't win the full ride, because only one person can win it, we offer all students a scholarship just for competing. So it's pretty much you write a check for 2-3 hours of your time. I think it's a really cool opportunity. I know you said you had another question, Michelle. I'm just going to finish this slide real quick.
Okay.
And then we'll take some questions if that's cool with you guys. All right. So just to finish on this one last slide here, one thing that's really important to know is that there's a difference between the price tag of the school and the price you pay, which was kind of what I was talking about with that cost of attendance and the gap, which is the cost of attendance subtracting your estimated family contribution. But to know the difference, the price tag is the amount that you'll see listed on the website. That tells you how much tuition and fees are, and if you plan to live on campus, the room and board. The price tag is the without any financial aid, this is how much this costs. And when it comes to public schools versus private schools will often have a smaller price tag than a private school. So you'll see that as we talked about in the last webinar we did, like the University of Illinois tuition, including room and board, is about $35,000 a year. When if you look at a school like Elmhurst, our room and board is including tuition is about $50,000 a year. So $15,000 more to attend Elmhurst just based on the price tag. However, private schools offer a lot more scholarship opportunities than public schools do. So when you account for scholarships, grants, and all other financial aid, that is the price you pay and not the price that's listed on their website. So just by this little equation here, your cost of attendance equals your tuition, your fees, your room and board if you're not going to commute, minus your financial aid. So private schools do offer a lot more scholarships a lot of the time because they are privately funded by donors and boards of trustees and a lot of complicated things. But keep that in mind for when you look at the difference between a public and a private school. It's not that private schools are considered more prestigious or better. It's just that since they are not a publicly funded by the government as much, their tuition is a little bit more, but they do like to pay it back with more scholarships. So now that I've covered all that, I know it's been a lot. I just want to have this slide here because I know your guys' heads might be spinning a little bit. So I want to take a minute just to answer a couple questions about anything that we've talked about.
So they did ask a question about financial aid, and someone asked, how would we know the price as a junior? So with room and board, it is around $50,000, and then without if you're commuting, it'll be around $39,000. So you will only know the price once you get admitted and you get your financial aid package. So once you fill out your FAFSA, and then once you get awarded all the scholarships that we award, you will get to know like the actual estimated breakdown price for that.
Yeah, no, Michelle's completely right. For specifically Elmhurst, I can't speak on behalf of other schools, but at Elmhurst, what we do is that if you apply, if you do that FAFSA immediately October 1st or get it done sometime in October, and if you decided to apply to Elmhurst for our early action deadline, which is November 1st, then on December 1st, if you are admitted, you'll also be given your financial aid, which means that so by December 1st, you would be able to see how much your initial financial aid package is, which would give you an idea of how much you owe out of pocket for the school year. However, the financial aid package that you're given is not like a concrete set in stone. This is the final, this is how much you owe, too bad. your financial aid can be adjusted. So if you see the amount and you're like, I don't know, this seems too expensive for me and my family based on our situation, make sure to contact your Office of Financial Aid for the specific schools, because they can work with you to try and find additional scholarship opportunities. Even your admissions team can help you with that. There are a ton of scholarship opportunities, and they can help work with you to try and find some that fit your demographics, things that you would be eligible for, and things that could really make you stand out. But no, that's a really good question. Any other questions we've got?
Yes, good question. We also have another one, and just to verify with you, George, they're asking, don't you have to be financial aid eligible to be able to work as a work study on campus?
That is a good question. So the way that the federal work study program works is that they try to award work studies to students of lower incomes first. However, that doesn't mean that you wouldn't be ineligible for a work study. A lot of students take a work study just so that they can have some part-time hours when they're working on campus. But one thing too is that with schools, you don't have to have a work study to get a part-time job. It's just they try to prioritize students who have a work study first, but you can get a job regardless.
All right. And then I wanted to answer this question just because I want everyone to hear. So someone is asking about test optional. So yes, you can submit test optional, and no, you're not less of a student if you do. You don't have to submit your ACT or SAT scores. And don't worry, we treat everyone equally. We look at how you wrote your essay, and basically you're answering, there are topics that you get, but you're mainly answering like, yeah, you're giving your personal statement, and you're answering like what you're going to bring from high school to your college experience if you are applying at Alton specifically. But we do not see you any less of a student. We do grade on how passionate you are and also how well structured your essay is. But we do not criticize in any way, and that's how you guys also get awarded scholarships. So as long as your essay is well thought and is well written, we award any scholarship, and we treat all of you guys equally.
All right, I see two more questions that we can get to, and then I'm going to finish up with the rest of our presentation. But don't worry, we have time later to finish the rest of these questions if any of you have any more. This first one I see by Christopher is, can you apply early action to multiple schools, and is it binding? That is a really, really important question, and we did talk about that last time. But just to let you know, there's a difference between early action and early decision. So if you apply to a school for early action, that just means that you want to get your admission decision as soon as possible. So you don't want to wait the regular deadline. Most regular decisions get sent out in March. Early decisions would usually, or early actions would be done in about January or February normally. So early action, you can apply to as many as you want, no strings attached. They'll just get you your admission decision sooner. Now, if you apply early decision, which is different than early action, early decision means that you want your admission decision soon. And if you're accepted, it's binding, which means that if you are accepted to a school for early decision, that's the school you're going to. So I only recommend doing early decision if it's a school that you are dead set on. That is the dream school. That is the number one priority. That is the one that I see myself at. So if you want to do early decision, it's binding. If you want to do early action, it's not. And the last question I'm going to answer for right now, and then I'll have Michelle looking at the chats, is how do you, when looking for colleges, how do you start your search? How do you know if you found a good college to search? That's a really good question. And the way that I would say is that you would pretty much just go on Google and look up pretty much a school that you're looking for. So how we've talked about the 5 Ps. If you know you're someone who wants to go to a small school, I'll look up small colleges or small universities. If you know specifically what program you want to do, like for example, nursing, you might want to look up, small colleges, nursing major, boom, see what schools pop up. And then from there, you can just take your research and go click on the university or college's website, scroll through their courses, scroll through their faculty, their clubs, things that they have. If there are things that seem appealing to you, if you like the way the campus looks, schedule a visit. If not, on to the next one. And it doesn't hurt to apply to schools that you're not so like it doesn't steal your heart right away. It doesn't hurt to apply to more schools because that means you have more choices at the end of the day. So no, good question. All right, so we only have a couple more slides left, so we're almost done with this presentation. This next slide here, we're going to be talking about college visits. So as I was just saying that I really recommend you go and look at a college visit. It is so important. I can't even stress how much it is because when you go on a visit, that's when you get to meet specifically with admissions counselors and with student tour guides and everything. But they come in a lot of different ways. Now, especially since COVID is, knock on wood, mitigating and we're going to be very close to normal soon, you'll start to see some college admissions counselors visit your high schools. You've probably seen this before, like in the cafeteria, they bring their table, they have their tablecloth and the pens and the free t-shirts if you're lucky. But if you see a school that interests you, it doesn't hurt to go up and walk up to the admissions counselor, put your name on the sheet of paper, they'll email you, get in touch with you. But another version is open houses and group visits. So if you and your friends want to take a day off school, especially for a lot of high schools offer that you can skip a day for the purposes of high school visits. So if you want to take a day off, go visit a college, bring your parents, bring a couple friends and make a day out of it, do a group visit. Can actually give you an idea of what it's like to be on campus in a group because you're not going to spend all your time alone. You want to kind of mimic what it's like to be walking around the campus with a group of friends. But you can also do individual appointments too. And individual appointments are when it's just you and your family, and you can either go and talk with an admissions counselor specifically about things that we're talking about right now, like the academics, the financial aid, the how in the world are we going to pull this off? College is so much to think about. Or you can also kind of have the more laid back fun versions where you get a guided tour. The tour guide, usually they're walking backwards, walking and talking, showing you the sites, giving you their stories. So make sure to take advantage of all different types of tour and just information opportunities, because the more you learn about the school, the more well-informed you become and the more confident you can become in your decisions. Some schools even offer overnight visits. Elmhurst is actually one of them. So if you want to learn to, if you want to mimic what it's like living on campus, living in a dorm with a roommate, some students are really cool with the idea of having high schoolers come and spend the night with them for a day. And they'll show them around, take them to a class, walk them to the cafeteria, show them what it's like. So if you're interested in that, but also all schools will have special admissions events throughout the year. So they have nights specifically for parents to meet faculty. There's admission events, like we have what's called our Blue Jay Bash, which is when we invite students to come mingle, get to know each other. They get free giveaways, a lot of music, a lot of dancing. It's just kind of like a big party, getting to meet everyone, getting to know what the school is like. But there's also other things too, like some schools offer like performances, they offer concerts, they offer free experiences for you to see what it's like around campus outside of the academics and more the extracurricular side, getting to see plays, getting to go to a basketball game if the school you want to go to has a really good team, things like that. So pretty much when you go and visit a college, don't just focus on the academics, try to get the whole experience of what it's like at the college. But just some parting words on some visit advice when you go. First thing, when you go, make sure you have questions that you want answered. When you're going to talk to an admissions counselor, they're just there to help you. They want to make sure that you know what you'd be signing up for if you attend their college or university, and they want to make sure it's going to be a good fit for you. So if you have any questions, anything at all, they will do their best to answer them. And most questions, there's no question that's such thing as a dumb one. Admissions counselors have heard it all. So they're there to not judge you. They're there to just help get you the info that you need. Another thing is be open-minded, because you might walk into your appointment, the counselor might have said one thing that you might have been like, I don't know, that one thing, just now I don't like the school anymore. This school isn't for me. Don't try to keep open-minded through your entire tour, because you might have something that you might not like, but then you might have 10 things that outweigh it. And then you think that this school is so great with all these other things that we didn't get to see or get to talk about in the appointment. Other thing, After you're done with your tour or you're done with your appointment with your admissions counselor, try to get a business card or just some contact information. So that way, on the car ride home after your visit, if you realize, oh, I didn't ask this question, this is a really important question, you'll have their contact information. And all admissions counselors are very fast at responding because we really like to be able to keep you in the know about your school search. Another thing, so as I've been saying, you can go on guided tours with students, but don't be afraid to walk the campus yourself. You and your parents, you and your friends, if you're doing a group tour, get to just explore, figure out what your school has to offer, things that don't get talked about on a tour. Or you might even find a place on campus that you can really see yourself, like, oh, that one tree on the quad, can't speak. You might find that one tree you really like and you say, wow, I can really see myself drinking my water bottle, pulling a blanket, reading a book under this tree. Like, you might find a place that's really you find for yourself and can see yourself there. And it never hurts to go and buy, a hat, a t-shirt, grab some swag, bring home back to your high school, show your friends, show your classmates. Yeah, I went and visited Elmhurst University. What about it? Like, you can pretty much show it doesn't really hurt to be able to say that you're really excited about their school, because we want you to be excited for us just as much as we are excited for you. But that is essentially everything that I had covered today. As I've said, again, my name is George Martinez, and I am an alumni of Elmhurst from the class of 2020. This is my email address and my direct phone number. So if you call this number, you will not get our main office. You'll get me personally. So if you have any questions at all, feel free to contact me. So that is the end of this presentation. So the rest of the time we have is open to everyone and any questions that you may have.